everybody. Okay, so today I thought I would try to basically talk about my ghost experiences. And I'm one of those people who is kind of like, I will believe anything, like, not anything, but to the space of like everything could possibly be true. Like, we don't really know, like, what is true, or we will never really know like the truth of everything in the world. Like, we will just not know certain things, and that's why I'm like, well, maybe some things are true, maybe they're not. I choose to be kind of like a it could happen kind of person. And basically I'm going to talk about my experiences of ghosts, but I'm going to provide like an explanation of as to why it might not be a ghost experience. Like, it might be something normal, and I'll probably say like what it could be that's normal, or it could be ghosts, and like we just don't know, and it's all kind of left up to people to, come up with their own, like, thoughts on it and stuff. So I'm just going to talk about my story, and you can all think of what you can think of. Now, when I think of ghosts, I think of people who are people like spirits, like souls, like things that are left behind or things that can't get out, or move on to whatever sort of thing is after life. So I'm gonna like talk about ghosts in that kind of way. Like, I don't think ghosts are just everywhere. Like, I don't think when you're in the supermarket, like doing your shopping, like a ghost is gonna be like right beside you, like, hey, what's up? Like, demons maybe not. Like, I don't know what I think of like demons are real or not, but this is just about ghosts. It's not about demons. It's not about like scary things like that. It's more about ghosts and spirits and souls and etc. So most of, if not all of, my ghost experiences have been in one house, and as a child, because I do not think that ghosts or spirits or whatever are in like newly built houses. Not when I first, like, I came from Poland to Ireland, and when we lived in a couple of houses before, but then we moved to this house, this big house. It was really nice. Like, if you can imagine, there was like trees, there was a big rose garden that was just stoned off by like stone walls. There was a my dog is scratching. There was a big back garden, there was a forest to the left, and then to the right there was like this little garden where they grew like vegetables and stuff, and then we had like a feeding. So that was the house, and it was big. There was like, I think 7 rooms or something that were inside it, and then there was like a bathroom and a big sitting room and a kitchen. Yeah, but the background to that house basically was that a doctor lived there for like years and years. Like, it was in his family, the house was, and the doctor had his practice there, as in like his clinic, where he like diagnosed patients, helped patients, and it was all there. But then when the doctor passed away, his daughters were like, oh, we can't, because they lived in a different country, so they were like, we don't want this house, and like just want to give it away. So they gave it to the church, and then the church gave it to someone else, and then that someone else was the person we got the house from. And what happened was, this house was really old. Like, it had history, and it was old. There was like a balcony on it as well. Like, it was very like out of date for the year that we lived in it. Like, it was old, and you could tell it was old. And basically, as a child, like, I never slept alone in I don't think I ever slept alone in a room by myself. Like, I used to always sleep like on a bed in someone else's room, or like I'd go into someone's bed and like sleep. Have a big family, I basically would just sneak into someone's room and I'd sleep in like their bed, or I would like sleep in a bed at someone else's room. Like, I never really slept alone because I was too scared, because it was so scary in that house. Like, for me, I don't know, it was just such a dark place for me. Like, when it comes to like the vibes of the place, it was scary, and I was a kid, so like I don't even know if like a kid me was like, it's scary, but the kid me knew that there was like a dark vibe to it. So the child in me knew. So I don't actually know if these are in the right order, but I'm just gonna say them because I don't actually remember what order they were in. But I say I was around the ages of like 7 to like 10 or 11. Okay, so the first one was when I was younger. This was when I was quite older, I think, but my mother was like literally just went across the road to the shop, and I was just alone for like 2 minutes. It was literally like the shortest amount of time ever. And she was like, "You're okay, you're okay." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just like doing something." So I spilled something, or I don't know, I did something, and I was like, "Oh no, mess." So I gotta clean it up. So I went to the room, and basically the back room was like, there was like a room, and in that room was like a fridge, a washing machine, and then the door to the garage, and then there was a door out to the back garden, and that was it. And there was a door before that which was the opening to the kitchen, so, and that's where we kept like the brooms and stuff. So after I cleaned up, I was going to put my broom back, but I couldn't, like, something was holding the door, so I couldn't open the door. So at first I was like wrestling. I was like, oh, maybe it's like the wind or something, like, you know, like I'm pulling at the door and like, come on, open the door. But then the door like I couldn't open the door. So I was like, okay, well, if something's holding the door, and I got freaked out because in my head I was like, something's holding this door. So I started like I started trying to close the door and like keep it closed, because I didn't want whatever was behind the door to, like, you know, walk in. I was like, oh no. So I go to keep the door closed shut, and then the door tries to open, and I'm fighting with the door to keep it closed, and someone, like, it's like someone's trying to open it, right? And then the handle starts wriggling and everything, like it's like full on like crazy stuff. So then I jam the broom in my hand underneath the handle, and the handle goes crazy, like it's like moving and everything. My mom comes in then, it was like so quick. She was like, "What's going on?" And she could hear like shouting and like banging, because I was like basically fighting with that door. Like there was nothing behind the door as far as I know, like there was nothing there. So I was fighting with the door, and my mom comes in and she kind of hears like the banging, but when she walks into the kitchen, the banging stops, and then like she goes and she opens the door, and there's nothing there. Like there's nothing in there. There's nobody there. There's nothing there. The doors are closed. Everything's closed. And she was like, "Oh, you're making that up?" Like I vividly remember that this happened. Like, not like I'm delusional, like imagining someone like fighting with me through the door. Like, no. Now, if you're a skeptic and you're gonna say like, yes, it could have been the wind, a very strong wind. I don't know how it got in, but it could have gotten, because the house was probably drafty, so the wind could have held the door. But then I don't understand how the wind would have pulled the door like out. And then the other thing that I didn't understand about it was the fact that what's it called? It could have been like what's the word for it? It could have been jammed as well, but then I still don't understand how the handle was wriggling. And then also, like, somebody could have like gotten in, like, and because I know there was like a few instances where people went into our house, like when they weren't meant to go to our house, like people that we knew and stuff, that would just like walk in and stuff. So maybe it was one of those, and they just like, oh, someone's home, we don't want to get caught like by the wrong people, like, you know, because it could have been someone's friend or someone, and they were like, no, we don't want them to like see us in this house, so they just left. But they were trying to fight with me because I was a child. They were like, let me in, but no, they didn't say anything, so that would have been weird as well. So that was probably one of them. The second one, which I was like, I'm so scared of this to this day, worst experience ever. So as a kid, the garden was huge, and as a kid I still am a big nature lover, and I loved exploring nature. I would just walk around that garden into the forest, like all around, like, and there was a field at the back, and the field was lower than our house, than our garden. So our garden would have been like up here, and the field would have been down here, and you'd have to like go down the slope to go into the field, which wasn't our field, so we didn't really go into the field, because why would we go into a field if it wasn't ours? But the slope, like, there was trees growing, and then behind the trees was it was like a little mountain, and then down below that was the field. And this little mountain, like, it was like a little pathway, and I used to walk along that pathway, like, being a kid. I was like, okay, found this cool pathway, no one can see me here, like, walks by the pathway, like, behind the trees, like, no one could see me. It was kind of dangerous, because, like, below was quite a good fall, because it was, like, the slopes were usually, like, the garden was like this, and then the field would be here, and then, like, you could walk down the slope into the field at the beginning, but then the longer it went, the higher the slope the garden went, and the field was lower. So I would like climb up this high slope kind of path. It was at the back, it was full of like weeds and stuff, but I'd walk across it, and then I'd come out a different part of the garden. Anyway, so I used to walk that path like every single day for like years. This was like a thing I do every day. And then one day, like, strong wind, it was like, I remember just feeling really weird. I know that I keep saying that, but it is what it is, and I did feel weird. And then I see a mouse, and the mouse is dead, and the head is like sliced off the mouse, and then the mouse is dead, and the head and the body are just separate. And I freak out, so I'm like, oh my god. But I didn't understand was like, this obviously seems normal. Like, it was obviously an animal that killed the mouse, just left it there, and I shouldn't have been walking through all these pathways, but I was. What would seem off to me was the fact that it was just left there, like no one was there, it was just left there. Really, I scared off the animal, but for me it was just weird. And then literally that same day, so I go back, whatever, I got my bike, and I'm going to like the where they grow vegetables, and it's the where they grow vegetables is literally just like loads of like bushes and little trees, and they're all growing from either side, and you're walking along this small little pathway. And then you'd go into this little clearing, and the clearing was kind of muddy, like there was nothing there, and it was muddy, and it was somewhere that needed tending to, and like, you know, we were trying to fix it up to grow vegetables in that little clearing area. Well, there was also stairs, like going 1, 2, 3, 4 upwards. So these steps they weren't high or anything, they were just steps, like they were made for like you go down to your little vegetation garden, like, you know. And I had my bike, and I was trying to pull the bike up, and like I was pulling the bike up, and it was okay, like the bike was fine, like I was just pulling my bike up. It wasn't a heavy bike, it was a small bike. I was like, you know, I was well able to carry this bike up, but for some reason someone started pulling the bike, and I mean like pulling it, like it wasn't me pulling it, like I had it in my hands, and something started pulling, like full on force, pulling this bike out like from my hands, something like literally tore it from my hands. So I got so scared, I threw the bike down, and I like stormed home, and I started crying, and I was like, someone was taking the bike. And of course my parents went to check it out. There was nobody there, nothing. The bike, they brought it back up, it was okay. Still a scary experience. I still remember it, like the forces of it pulling it. And obviously you could say, like, you know, once again, the bike got stuck, the wind, anything like that. There's all these explanations which could be possible, but for me it was like a force. And I remember the mouse that day, and I was like, this is scary, this can't be real, you know. And then what was next? Oh yeah, and then like this easily could have been like my imagination or my dreams, but this is the only one that I don't really have an explanation for. But there was these like 2 rooms in the house that were kind of like rooms we didn't use. They were just there for like if a guest came over, they could use that room, or, you know, they were like used for like other things like laundry and stuff, but there was beds in them and stuff. And I used to play in every single room because of course as a kid I was like, yeah, rooms, like loads of fun, every single room has like things to do in it, so I'd go in. But I vividly remember like lying in one of those rooms one day, and like just seeing like a white like figure, or like it wasn't like clear, like there was no like eyes, nose, mouth, but I just remember like shapes of white just like flowing past, and like I just for those ones, like it could have been my imagination making those up, and like I could just be remembering wrong, but I remember just lying there and just being like, oh, you know, like obviously there could be a really clear cut of like I just imagined that and that didn't actually happen, but I remember that. Why do I remember that? I don't know, but I do remember that. Yeah, so those were probably most of them. And I know there was more, like there was much more things like going on that were like creepy. And I remember like there was another thing where I used to go into the forest, and I don't think this one's necessarily like a ghost experience, but it was just creepy because I used to go into the forest beside our house, and like I'd go in there and I'm just like, I don't know, walk around and stuff, and I would literally see like I'd find skulls of like animals that were buried there, and I'd bring them to my mom, and I'd be like, here mom, look at the skull. My mom would be like, don't do that, don't bring home like skulls of animals that were buried in the forest. So that was definitely strange. There was another one when I was climbing through like these bushes between my garden and my neighbor's garden, and like something was like moving in them as well, but easily could have been an animal as well, like, you know. I did a lot of adventuring in that house, but that was the most of my ghost experience. Like, I can't really think of another place that I've had them. like if I'm honest, like all the other houses I've been to are like very modern. Those would have been like my actual, like my biggest ghost experiences. But I remember them vividly, and I remember them like, you know, like they were strong. And yeah, there was another little thing where I don't think I have it here anymore. I think I put it in the attic or somewhere. But basically in that house there was a rose garden. And, well, it wasn't a rose garden. I don't think when we were living there was many roses that were surviving because it was old. But the rose garden was sectioned off by these big, like, stone walls. And it was just 4 stone walls. And there was, like, these specific stone pots, like, these long pots and places for the roses to grow. And I think for 2 years roses grew there. As far as I know, it was a rose garden. Like, it could have been something else, but that's what I was told it was, so I'm gonna believe it's a rose garden. And as a kid, I think it was me and my sister, we were there, and we looked up, and like we were looking up at the high walls, and there was like statues in every single part, like every single wall. And one of them was like a statue of a cat, and I remember I took that. I still have it somewhere, but I don't think I have it here. I think I have it in the attic because I think I was scared of it. I was like, I don't want this anymore because it's kind of scary. But it was like a little cat with a baby cat, and I remember it was made of stone. And that was really creepy as well. Like there was like the statues and stuff. Like I wonder like what the real history of that house was, because it was a very interesting house anyway. Like I thought it was very unique, and there was just like there was weird stuff going on in the house. The clinic, where the clinic was like a very like, you couldn't really use that place as a bedroom because it was basically like a bathroom, but we couldn't use it. So it was very like old, and like that place was spooky as well. I never really went in there. I mean, not to say clinics are scary, like I don't think clinics are scary, but maybe that house had history and that's why I had these experiences. But it was very scary because I very vividly remembered like things pulling out of my hands, like pulling stuff away from me, like taking things, moving things. And it's like, I've never had that experience before, but I actually shrieked as a child. And for me to be so scared of something, because as a child I was kind of like all over the place, like reckless, like, oh, let's just walk into this tree and like climb this, you know. For me to like actually freak out was like about something like that. It was like my parents all went to like check it out, because they were like my mother, when she came back from the shop and I was in the kitchen, like I was like, you know, banging things, like there was like a fight going on, and she went in and she's like, what's going on? So yeah, right. So that is all for my ghost experiences. And if they're not ghost experiences, they were just very coincidental jams or movements or something of that. I don't really have any other ones that I can think of that I have experienced outside of that house, because I don't, like, I have another one, but that was kind of a demon thing, not really like a ghost thing, but I'm talking about ghosts today, so I'm gonna talk about ghosts. But that is all, and I just want to say thank you for watching. I'm hopefully gonna be shooting Mimi more videos very soon. Oh wait, my little device. I'm hopefully gonna be shooting more videos very soon. Yes.